Staying alive, Dan Ryder. It's March 19, 2023. Glad to have you with us tonight in the chat room. It's our Sunday night accident recap video. Glad to have you with us. It's our weekly video. This video will only be up and on the air for about 6 days. The last one is already gone. It got about 70,000 views or something like that, and it's gone. This video series has worked out to be really good, and sometimes we have a lot of accidents, sometimes we don't have very many. I'm going to get to the accident recap in just a few minutes, but before we do that, I'm going to tell you about my accident. I was involved in a very serious four-wheeler accident. We happened to catch video footage of it, and here it is. Sorry, that was a joke. Just like Griffin, Georgia is. I'm going to give you the rest of the story. Griffin, Georgia, Toxic Water Part 3 is coming up. I will probably be releasing this in the next few days. I want you to watch for this video. This is going to be a fascinating one. Griffin, Georgia has given me the most opportunity and best content you could ever hope for. I appreciate your support on this. I did go to court last week, and I'm going to tell you all about that. This video is coming up, and you're not going to believe what I got in the next video. Part 3 and probably Part 4 and probably Part 5 is coming up, so you can see exactly what's going on. If you want to go back and watch Toxic Waters Part 1 and Part 2, especially Part 2, you'll see exactly what I mean. Those videos, Part 1 and Part 2, are staying up. I'm not taking those down. That's coming up. We finished the thing down in Louisiana. That's the Renee video where he lost his airplane into a field in Texas, and the mayor wouldn't let him have it back. So that has been resolved. I'm very happy about that. That video is up and on the air right now. That's the conclusion of all that, and everything is good. The airplane is still there, but it's about to be rolled out. They've got all the logistics, legal, and paperwork signed, and road permits and everything done, so that very, very soon that airplane is coming out of there. I think we specifically did cause some social pressure on the mayor of Bryan, Texas, to do the right thing, and I'm very happy about that. A couple of mid-airs I got to talk about before I get to the accident report. The one in Mesa, Arizona at Falcon Field. This is tragic. Here's a video news clip of it. You can see it right here. I'm not sure how this airplane stayed in the air. The good thing is the pilots of each respective aircraft are still alive. We will get the full story, but this has to do with a failed see and avoid. These two airplanes did run into each other in flight.
And 9 Whiskey Tango, what is the nature of the second emergency?
The nature of second emergency is we had 2 aircraft touch wings.
How they both managed to make it back down to the ground without somebody getting killed, I don't know. It's a complete miracle, but I'll take it. You can see the airplane here in this video footage. Just about chop the tail off this thing, and it's not a good thing. The one I want to go back and revisit is the one from Winter Haven, Florida. This is shocking, and I'm going to try to keep my blood from getting boiled on this thing here. This is Jack Brown's Seaplane base operating the Cub. No electrical system, no radio, no ADSB, which is okay. They were illegal to do that. However, the position they put themselves in, typically at 500 AGL in the position of the traffic pattern. This girl and her student was flying left traffic for 29. She was doing everything right. I want you to listen to their radio calls. I'm going to give you a couple of them here just so you can see it. The student is making the radio calls. I listened to all the radio calls. I watched the entire thing. Their traffic pattern was textbook perfect. They had ADSB. They were looking and they were talking on the radio. It's Jack Brown's Seaplane base that was operating in the wrong area with no radio, that wasn't looking, flew head on into these unknown people. If I was the father of these two kids, I would not be happy right now. I can't believe that Jack Brown Seaplane base doesn't have at least a handheld for listening in the vicinity of the other airport so that you can at least hear what's going on out there. And for sure, if you're going to fly your airplane opposite direction in the face of left base traffic, it's the established traffic pattern left base for runway 29. Why would you be at 500 feet opposite direction with no radio and no idea that there was even another airplane out there? This whole thing is, I'm still looking for an explanation on why Jack Brown's Seaplane base would even allow operations like this in that area. Is amazing. and I don't get it, but I can say I'm pretty disappointed. As much as I like the Jack Brown family, the seaplane base, and float plane flying, I'm not a float plane guy myself, but I like the idea. I think there's some excellent people there, but how this culture ever came to be where they're flying low altitude with no radios, not paying attention in the vicinity of this other airport is completely irresponsible. And you can call it whatever you want, but there's 4 dead people, and I can tell you exactly who's the fault here. It's Jack Brown's seaplane base operation, maintenance, and management and owners that allowed this to happen is purely responsible for this. No two ways about it.
Air traffic, Cherokee Niner 221 Delta is doing short approach on runway 29. Winter air traffic. Air traffic 21 Delta is turning left base for runway 29. Winter haven. Air traffic 21 Delta is turning final for runway 29. Winter haven. 21 Delta, is it just you guys at Winter haven?
Affirmative, 21 Delta.
Winter air traffic, Cherokee 21 Delta is departing or taking off on runway 29, raining and left close traffic. Winter air traffic. Winter air traffic 21 Delta is turned left crosswind for runway 29. Winter haven. Winter air traffic 21 Delta is turning left base or left downwind for runway 29. Winter air traffic. Air traffic 21 Delta is me doing short approach on runway 29. Winter air traffic. Winter air traffic 21 Delta is turning left base for runway 29. Winter haven. Traffic 21 Delta is final for runway 29. Winter haven. Winter haven traffic 21 Delta is going around. Winter haven traffic. Winter haven traffic 21 Delta is turning left crosswind for runway 29. Winter haven traffic. Winter haven traffic 21 Delta is turning the left downwind for runway 29. Winter haven traffic. Winter haven traffic 21 Delta is doing short approach on runway 29. Winter haven traffic. Winter haven traffic 21 Delta is turning left base for runway 29. Winter haven.
Okay, let's get to the accident report. This one has not varied much since last week. The only thing that we've added here is the Bryan crash. I'm going to put this on the screen here right now, but let's go over the ones on here. The J3 and the PA-28-161, that's the mid-airs. And then we already talked about the S2R, that's the spray plane that hit the high wire. Peter Mann out here. The Bryan here is the only one that we have. That happened on the 17th of March at 11:39 a.m., November 2061 Kilo. It's a 58P. It was flown by a guy named Blake Christie, 26 years old, and I can tell you my best guess on what happened here. I'm going to show you the ADS-B track here. A 58P is a pretty powerful airplane. Weather was not a factor. There was not anything else a factor. He was alone by himself. This airplane is a rocket. On 2 engines, this thing should have gone up. Notice the track here. It didn't climb good, and it pulled left. This is a VMC roll. I think you're going to see that this thing stalled and pulled left. This is a VMC roll. I think he had an engine anomaly or an engine failure on the left side, pulled it left, VMC roll. I am very sorry for this family. This was a young dad, newly married with a new child, a brand new family, very young, and a tragic loss for both families and all friends in Texas. Our condolences. I want you to be aware, if you're flying a multi-engine airplane, you had better know what you're doing. You lose an engine on takeoff, you only have a few seconds to do the right thing. You go below red line on this thing, you're going to roll over. There's a blue line, there's a red line. The VMC roll is crazy dangerous if you're not ready for it. And you think a Bryan, powerful airplane, should be easier in a Bryan. Well, guess what? It's less easy in the Bryan because the Bryan is a very powerful airplane that causes more differential between the failed engine producing drag and the working engine producing thrust. It's the differential that rolled him. A lower power twin would be less dangerous. A higher power twin is more dangerous because of the difference. When that engine fails, it doesn't go to zero thrust, it actually goes to negative thrust. It actually pulled him like a parachute to the left, and that's our problem with VMC roll. If you don't understand that, if you're not proficient, I wouldn't be out there in a Bryan, and our deepest respects and condolences to this family in Texas, but this is pretty much all that happened on this one. I just finished a couple days training with a guy named Howard in his A36 Bonanza. He came down and spent 2 full days with me, had to listen to my jokes and put up with my beatings for 2 full days. Great guy. He's a medical doctor. We swapped medical advice, and I did a little stethoscope trip for him, show him how you can prevent a heart attack with a stethoscope. I am featured in the American Medical Journal Constitution, Medical Journal AME sign-off thing here this week for my medical prowess. I'm one of the best doctors. I've even got a medical certificate. I'll show you that right here. I am a medical doctor, so it's always fun to fly with another doctor. Howard did a great job. He took 2 full days of AQP training, and at the end of that, this morning we went out and flew the DC-3. He wanted an hour in the DC-3. I'll give you a little bit of that at the end. His main concern and his reason for coming to see me was so he could stay alive. He's had the A36 for 20 years. He's taken annual recurrent training every 20 years. And I want you to know we did a couple unusual things. I will tell one little secret on Howard because he told me I could. His very first rejected takeoff that I gave him was the first one he'd ever been given. And guess what happened? Near rotation speed, when I chopped his mixture, what did Howard do? Howard froze and jammed the throttle forward, and he sat there. He had never seen it before. He had never experienced it. When I chopped his throttle and he had a loss of thrust close to rotation, Howard froze. In fact, he pushed the throttle even further forward. I wish I had that on video. We fixed that. We fixed all of Howard's rejected takeoff criteria stuff so that now he's completely ready for an engine failure after liftoff, loss of thrust on takeoff. He's also ready for a rejected takeoff. He'd never been trained on that, never thought about it. So all those maneuvers in AQP, we beat him up really good. I've got a really good sequence coming up. There was a Cheyenne crash, a fatal, a couple years ago in Lafayette, Louisiana, and I've got the full report. I went to Lafayette, and this has to do with ATC talking to you after takeoff. So Howard and I did another scenario, kind of like flight chops. I had him on an IFR flight plan talking to a tower. He got cleared for takeoff, and after takeoff, I did not allow him to answer the tower. The tower wanted him to contact departure. I did not allow him to answer the guy until his aircraft was under control. He was climbing and his after takeoff checklist was complete and he was on heading and autopilot on. Then you can answer the guy. I hope you agree with that. I'll probably take some beating for that, but you are not obligated to talk to the guy immediately. You fly your airplane first. Aviate, navigate, communicate. Communicate is third. You communicate when you've got everything else done and you're totally good. I'm going to show you that video. That's the Lafayette video. Howard allowed me to shoot a little bit of video, and I captured that entire sequence so perfectly. It shows you exactly, and Howard really wanted to answer that guy on the radio when it happened. Here's a little sequence in flight. I'm going to leave you with this here because it's not been a super long video tonight, but I appreciate you hanging with us. We got a couple things to talk about on schedule coming up here. The very next thing I got to do is tomorrow night, Monday night, March 20, EAA 611, Gainesville, Georgia. I'll be up there with live music. You're welcome to attend that. Here's the screen graphic for it. EAA 611, Gainesville, Georgia. I'll be there. I'm bringing a special guest for that. A superstar guest appearance, surprise guest will be with me at that, I do believe. And then after that, I got a dog flight to do. Immediately after that, we got Sun and Fun. I'm speaking at Sun and Fun a whole bunch of different times. Check the forums. Here's the forum box. You can check this thing out. I'm speaking at quite a few forums. One of the forums I'm going to do at Sun and Fun has to do with aviation YouTube. I'm only doing that one day. If you want to talk to me about YouTube, I'm not an expert on YouTube, but I'll be glad to tell you what I use and how I do it and what my ideas are on YouTube. I've gone from zero to where I'm at here in about 2 years on YouTube, so some of it works good some of the time, some of it does not. I'll be glad to tell you what works and what does not work. That's down there at Sun and Fun. I'm speaking quite a few times on history of the DC-3, and I'm also doing an AQP seminar with Meredith Holliday from Holliday Aviation. You can check all that on the forum schedule. The rest of the time, we'll be just down there playing the banjo and goofing around. Friday night is a 99s party. If you're a 99s member, you have to be a 99s member to get into this thing. If you're 99s and you want to come to our banjo party Friday night, it's going to be a fun one. So I'll give you some information. The 99s are going to put out a little thing on how to get information on where that is and how to get into that. But that's going to be a fun one to do. Then after that, remember, it's as soon as we get back from Sun and Fun, we got a few days off, and then we'll be March 14. We're going to be at Air Mart, Lexington, Kentucky, open house, Air Mart. And then we'll be up at Purdue University in Indiana for their aviation day. That's Saturday, April 15. We'll be up there for the full day. The next day, Sunday, we'll be down in Toby's territory, Dixon, Tennessee, on the ramp and talking to anybody that wants to talk to. We're mostly going to stay overnight there, have fun, play a little bit of music, go in town and eat dinner and goof around in Dixon, Tennessee. And that's on the 16th of April. Hope to see you there. I got to get out of here. Here's that last little clip of me and Howard this morning flying the DC-3 and the emphasis on staying alive. For my tiny little itty-bitty fledgling YouTube channel, Dan Grider, probable cause.
Say very much. I appreciate you coming in all the way from Ohio to do a couple days of AQP training in your Bonanza. I totally enjoyed it, and top it off with a little bit of DC area flying just makes it really nice. And I appreciate guys like you that want to take the extra time to stay alive in their airplane.
Well, Dan, you know, it's indeed a privilege, and I learned skills that, I mean, it just augmented what I had, but there were some new concepts, and I know I'm going to be a safer pilot because of that. And by the way, this DC-3 is an amazing, I mean, it's like, okay, a big, huge check off of my bucket list. And, you know, thank you. And also thanks for being such a great guy and a good friend.